Today on 5 Minute Mondays, you'll learn how to package your knowledge and expertise and offer coaching services to people who want to learn from you. Welcome to 5 Minute Mondays, where we bring you the best tips and strategies for building your podcast, all in 5 minutes or less. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, we are in the middle of a 9-part series about podcast monetization, the pros and the cons of each of the currently popular strategies. And today we're going to talk about coaching and consulting services. Now, this strategy is closely related to the info product strategy that we talked about a couple weeks ago. But rather than creating an online course or writing an ebook, instead you would package your knowledge and expertise into a coaching program or consulting service. And there are many ways to approach this strategy. So in this episode, we'll dive into the 3 that make the most sense for podcasters. So the first approach to setting up some kind of coaching or consulting is a from here to there coaching program. So literally taking someone from one place, point A, all the way to point B. And you can think of it as an online course that happens live and that you are delivering directly to your student or to your client. And when it comes to online training, people typically spend more money in one of 3 areas, and that's health, wealth, and relationships. So you want to take your knowledge and your expertise and think about, something that you've overcome in your own personal life that still plagues many of your podcast listeners. And then as you start brainstorming ideas, ask yourself, does it fall into one of those 3 categories, health, wealth, or relationships? And then once you find a match, something that you've overcome that a lot of people still struggle with, what would it take for you personally to help someone experience the same outcome that you did? So once you put those things together, you just write out that process, and now you have a from here to there coaching program. Now, the second method is a monthly consulting retainer. All right. And this method is actually popular with businesses and startups that want to borrow your knowledge without having to bring you on as a full-time employee. They're essentially just paying for access to your brain. And so if this is something that you want to consider, then you want to list out these skills and expertise that you have that make up your unfair advantage, what you know exceptionally well that not many people do. And then mention in your podcast episodes that you're taking on new clients, and that if somebody wants to hire you or work with you or talk to you, all you have to do is shoot you an email. And then the third method, the third approach, is a done-for-you service. Now, this last method is the most time-intensive because you're literally doing it for them, but it can also be the most lucrative. So with a done-for-you service, you are agreeing to deliver the transformation or breakthrough on a silver platter. And this works best when you can tie your skills directly to a service that is in high demand. So take podcasting, for example. If you teach people how to podcast on your podcast, then mention that you're taking on a handful of clients to help them launch their first podcast, and you'll help them brainstorm their podcast idea. You'll create their artwork for them, set up their hosting, submit to all the major podcast directories. All the things that you had to learn in the process of creating a podcast, you can offer to someone for a fee instead of them having to figure it all out for themselves. And the stuff that you don't know how to do, like say you're not a graphic designer and you don't know how to really create artwork, then you can just contract and sub out that stuff on websites like Upwork or 99 Designs and work with freelance workers. Now, with all of these services, you'll inevitably have to figure out how much you should charge. And your price should reflect the magnitude of the transformation your clients will experience by working with you, not a reflection of the amount of work it will take you. Does that make sense? So you might be able to make a huge change in someone's life with 2 hours of work. So you shouldn't choose a price based on the 2 hours. You should choose the price based on how much it will help them. And while I can't tell you how much to charge for your particular consulting service, I will tell you to start at a rate that's higher than you think that it should be. And in next week's episode, we're going to wrap up our monetization series, and you're going to learn about dynamic ad insertion and whether or not it's a good idea for your show. But that's it for today. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can subscribe to the 5 Minute Mondays podcast in your favorite app to squeeze even more podcast-related content into your life. And if there's something you want me to talk about on a future episode, you can just click the link in the show notes to submit your question. Thanks for listening, and as always, keep podcasting.